Hi friends, it's Belinda here from Bee Making Joy, and welcome to my channel. Today is Tuesday, February the 7th, and I'm here to share with you what I've been knitting on and what has brought me joy in the last 2 weeks since I spoke to you last. I hope to have this video edited and uploaded by the end of the day so that you can watch it on Whip Wednesday. I have some finished objects to show you. I have lots of progress on a couple of other whips, and I have a few pieces of happy mail I want to show you. And I want to tell you what my upcoming plans for February are. When I spoke to you last 2 weeks ago, I was in Fernie on a family vacation with one of our daughters. We were there for 10 days, and one of her friends joined us for the weekend. We were right on a ski hill, just uphill from the lifts in the village, and the lodge, I should say, a couple of restaurants down there. So twice we walked down for supper and walked back up the hill in the moonlight. That was lovely. We have a new favorite restaurant downtown as well, a Himalayan spice restaurant that has a huge vegetarian selection that pleased my daughter, and also had a very good selection for us meatitarians. And so it was a pretty good time. The only downside of that vacation is that we were missing 2 of our daughters. As I said last time, I don't ski, so I got a lot of knitting done. The day after my last podcast, I finished my pride and joy, the honeycomb wall hanging. Let's turn the camera around so you can get a better view of it. This is my modification of the Beekeepers Quilt by Stephanie Dozen of Tiny Owl Knits. I'll link to her pattern in the show notes below. The yarn used is the Memories in Yarn Minis from last December by Megan of Pearl Passion. I'll link to her shop as well. She's just announced that she is currently dyeing full skeins of that first color in Canto. Just tell me some more about this artwork. It's funny, when I chose the business name Bee Making Joy, it was just because my name starts with B. I wasn't thinking about bees and honeycombs until my daughter presented me with a logo design that she made, the bee sitting on a crate, knitting the word joy, Bee Making Joy. And since then, I'm in love with honeycombs. I'm finding them everywhere. Notice my yarn shelves, my bees. So I'm really in love with this piece of art. I think it's the most valuable piece of art in our house now because it's made with such precious yarn and took over 150 hours of work. So each honeycomb is made separately and then they're joined together at the corners. And in Stephanie's pattern, the Beekeeper Quilt, she also suggests that you stuff them, but I didn't do that because it's a wall hanging for me. I have a note to my future self to always double knot when joining because I had to repair a few of these corners. And you might notice that I use blocking wires to give the shape some structure to hang upon. So I need to buy some more blocking wires before my next huge project. And the cards that describe each yarn, I strung them together and hung them beside here for future reference. And I have this lovely jar of candy yarn left over. I started off with the intention of using every last scrap and making some of them half and half colors, but then I decided not to do that. So I have my nice little jar of candy left over sitting on my desk. And I wanted to show you what I did with the Afghan that came down off the wall. This is the towel ladder from IKEA, and I think it brings a nice calm to the room. It's inviting yet orderly, and yeah, I think it worked out really well. When the wall hanging was finished, I next focused on this scarf. It's the Catventure Scarf, patterned by Lisa Hannum Fox of Nifty Knitter Designs. It's double knitting, so each color you see on the one side, it's the opposite colors on the other side, so it's reversible. And I started it in September or October. It was a mystery knit along when she released it. Now the pattern is available in full, so I'll link that below. But when she released it, she was releasing it one section at a time. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then I fell behind, and it got put aside for a little while. While we were in Fernie, I finished week 6 and 7, started week 8. So when we came back home, I was so excited to finish it because it was getting so close. So I finished the cat just this last Saturday at home. And that was a little nerve-wracking. I was playing yarn chicken. Let me show you how much yarn I have left over. Oops, that's the purple. And, oh, goodness, sorry. And this tiny little scrap of the blue. And it was supposed to have been bound off in the blue, but I was getting nervous about it, so I bound off in the purple instead. Adding an extra row of purple. I think that evens it out nicely on the ends. So that's the Catventure Scarf. Another whip that I took with me is the half and half triangle wrap pattern by Pearl Soho. But first, let's talk project bags. There are many beautiful artists out there who design some beautiful knitting bags, and someday I'll treat myself to one. But in my opinion, a project bag is any bag that you keep your project in. And I used to do grocery bags way back when I was a teenager. My projects were in grocery bags. Now I have purses, tote bags, drawstring bags, and even the plastic bags that bedding come in. This one was a comforter bag that my maritime blanket lived in for almost 5 years. Until on this trip, the bag ripped in several pieces. Maybe because the plastic is old and brittle, maybe from the cold of the trip, from being tossed around. So as soon as I put these yarns back into inventory, my leftover yarns, that one will go in the garbage. But like I said, I have tons of bags around. This one is my favorite. It's for my car knitting projects because it's a heavy duty plastic. It came from Hawaii, hence the turtles and on it. It was from Costco in Hawaii, and it was full of chocolates and nuts and all the Hawaii goodies. It's a gift bag. But obviously it was intended for reuse because it does have an inside pocket pouch too. And it's perfect for this bag for, as I said, car rides because it's waterproof. So I can sit it on the floor without having to worry about how much wetness is on the floor. And it's just perfect. Let's see. So this is the half and half triangle wrap pattern by Pearl Soho. I've talked about it before, but this time I'll insert a picture from their pattern page so that you can see what I'm talking about. First, the triangle is made in one color, and then you switch colors and make another triangle in the other color. So that's almost to the point of changing colors. There's the progress keeper where I was when I spoke to you last. But keep in mind the rows get shorter and shorter each time. It's short rows. So each time I reach the marker, I do a wrap and turn, and the marker gets moved closer to the end. So I have 75 more wrap and turns to do before I can change colors. So I'm so looking forward to changing colors. And then I know at that point it'll probably get put aside for a while. But I have been knitting straight off this heavy cone, so it couldn't go anywhere but my car bag. And be careful I don't drop all my stitches here. Oh no. So when I finish with this color, I'm going to weigh the project and guesstimate that I'm going to use that much yarn for the other half, and then wind off my other color. My other color is going to be the green cone that's right there. So rather than carry the cone around, because this is getting too big for the bag, I'm going to wind off just as much as I think I need. I'll give a 10% margin for error, because if the yarn snags and I have to join a new string, there's a little bit of waste there. Anyway, that's the half and half wrap by Pearl Soho. It's using 3.25 millimeter needles, and the yarn, sorry, the yarn is Host Coast Garn from Denmark, and it's a very light fingering weight yarn. This color is lavender. The other color there will be jade. And yeah, I am enjoying it, but it is miles and miles of garter stitch knitting. I did a little bit more work on the skirt that I'm designing, but nothing to write home about, just a couple more rows. But it's in one of my favorite project bags, a drawstring backpack. This would have been a promotional item from one of my husband's races. My husband is a runner. Well, he's a triathlete now, but the running races tend to give the goodie treats in drawstring backpacks with some promotional name on it. There's a few around the house. There's a Scotiabank one, a couple of other ones. We have this tiny little one the kids got somewhere from. Anyway, doesn't matter. I love the drawstring backpacks because when we travel, I always make sure I take one with me. Because then if my husband convinces me to do a hike, I can dump my project out, toss my water bag in, and I've got my hiking backpack. It's great for the airplane because I can squish it all up and throw it into my big giant duffel bag. And it doesn't take up any more room than the project itself. So yeah, I love these. But I still haven't found much motivation to work on my own designs. So I think maybe the creative juices are not flowing because I've got too many more projects on the go. So I just do a count of how many projects I have left for you. So I decided to participate in Finish It February again this year. That is a plan that was introduced to me last year through Roxanne Richardson, who does a podcast on YouTube and has a group on Ravelry. I'll link to her videos talking about the Finish It February plan. And what it is the concept is take stock of all your unfinished projects, decide whether you want to finish them, whether you're just fed up with them. It's okay to throw them away, rip them apart, put the materials back into your supplies, whatever. Just take stock of all your projects, all your craft projects, not just your knitting projects, and decide your priorities regarding them. So I've prioritized 3 projects that I'm going to get done in February this year. I want to finish my daughter's hometown hoodie so she can wear it this winter. This is a design that a pattern I released last year. Hometown hoodies. Always knit top down, and then the stitches are picked up around the neck to make a hood. So I just need to get back to it, and it won't take me long at all because it's done in a super bulky yarn, really fast knitting. And I also want to finish my temperature scarf, my 2022 temperature scarf. I have done a 2020 temperature blanket, a 2021 temperature blanket, but that one I fell behind and used Finish It February in 2022 to finish the 2021 blanket. Decided at that point that I was only going to do scarves from then on, temperature scarves. Got as far as February on this one installed. So I want to finish that. And what I'm doing is each row represents one day. On the weathernetwork.com or AccuWeather.com, probably a few other sites, you can look back at what the temperatures were each day. So I have a notebook that I've recorded those in. And what I'm doing is starting a new color each row, leaving the tails, and just knitting across. I'm not coming back again. The next color I'm starting over here and knitting across. So I've got the tassels. And then to finish them off, I tied each tassel to itself. And I might trim them afterwards after it's done. We'll see what the whole thing looks like when it's done and then decide what to do with these tassels. And my thought process was if I did a temperature blanket every year, I could then start sewing them together, or a temperature scarf every year, and then sew them together into a blanket. So I like the idea of being able to compare year to year how much our weather in Calgary varies so very much. So I want to finish this one in February and get started on the 2023. I have a huge box of all the yarns that I selected for it in 2020, still using the same colors pretty much. I've had to replace a couple of the yarns that ran out, but for the most part, they're huge balls that came from sellers like 20 years ago. Anyway, and the other project I'm going to focus on for Finish It February is this. It was given to me by one of the sisters in my congregation. Her mother, they were cleaning out her mother's house, and it's an unfinished project from her mother's. And it was intended to be a sweater for a child. The youngest grandchild is now an adult, so it was more than 10 years ago that she had started it. So I'm going to show you through a series of pictures what my thought process has been on this so far, how to pick up somebody else's knitting and finish it. So here's what it looked like when I received it. You can tell that the knitter's tension had changed and mistakes were starting to happen as her health failed. So I frogged it back to the good stuff. Then I had to decide what size needles to use. And over the years, I've learned the importance of doing a gauge swatch because every knitter's tension is different and every pattern writer's tension is different. So you won't necessarily use the suggested needle size. I have some tutorials on this channel that you can refer to about how to check your gauge, how to adjust your needle size if your tension is too loose or too tight. So I'll link to those videos below. So she was using 4.5 millimeters. I grabbed those and did a gauge swatch. I got 17 stitches per 4 inches. The pattern calls for 18. But when continuing someone else's work, it's best to match their tension so that the garment will remain proportional. So she was knitting at 16.5 stitches per 4 inch. And I also recognize that what's left to do on the sweater is stranded color work in the yoke, which usually gets tighter than single color stockinette. So I decided to aim for a gauge of 16 stitches per 4 inches. It's better for this part to be looser rather than tighter. So I tried a 5.5 millimeter needle and bingo, 16 stitches. Now I have to count her stitches to confirm what size she was making and check that each piece now has the right number of stitches on the needles to join. And I can already tell that the sleeves are different. One of them didn't get finished shaping. So I have to go back and count stitches and read through the pattern step by step to see where she's left off on each piece. The front and backs don't match either. And finish those pieces up and then join and start the graph, the pattern. There is no graph in the pattern. It's written instructions for all the color work. It'll say knit 5 main, knit 3 C, contrast, etc. and written instructions. I'm used to following a graph, so that will be fun. Maybe I should draw the graph myself. Or this picture is quite detailed enough for a graph. I can actually see these stitches in the picture. So I don't think there will be a problem at all once I get started. So there's my plans. I'm also going to have to decide which color to use for that contrast pattern because the pattern only has one contrast color, but there's 4 here in the bag. 2 shades of purple, a pink, 5. 2 shades of blue. Which color should I use to finish the sweater off with? We'll see what the mood strikes when I get to that point. So let's recap. What's my whip count now? Last episode I had 13 UFOs, unfinished objects. I just showed you 2 finished objects, so there are 11 left. But I'm going to cast on one more. I am joining Megan from Pearl Passion in a knit along. Our Zoom cast on party is next week. If you're interested, you can check out Pearl Passion on Instagram. We will be doing the Love Notes sweater patterned by Tin Can Knits, and I'll have to insert a picture from her pattern page for you. So, let's see. For the yarn choice that I had 3 plans in mind. I went a little off script from what the pattern says. The pattern calls for a fingering weight and a lace weight held together, or a DK weight if you're doing a single strand. The yarn I chose is technically a worsted weight, but in my opinion, it's a very thin worsted weight. It's Lion Brand Pound of Love. I have 3 huge balls of this stuff I bought a while back on, I don't know what website, but it was a discontinued colorway. And in my opinion, this color, lavender, this yarn is thinner than other colors of Lion Brand Pound of Love that I have in my stash. So I did a swatch. With the suggested needle size of 6 millimeters, my gauge hit perfect. I'm just having such a good month. So my gauge is perfect. My fabric is just drapey enough for me. I'm looking forward to this. So our cast on party is next Wednesday. And yeah. So one more cast on to add to the list of that will bring me up to 12 whips again. Okay, now I have some happy mail I want to show you. When we came back from Fernie, there were a few things in our mailbox. The first one I opened was from my brother and his wife. They sent us all gift cards. Each one of us were gift cards from a different place. So they really thought about who we are and what cards we needed. Mine was from Michael, so of course craft supplies. Plus some candy. Robertson's candy. Yum, yum, yum. Robertson's is made in Nova Scotia, in my hometown. And when I was in grade 5, Mrs. Robertson was my teacher. And she and her husband made the candy. I don't know who makes the candy now, whether it's still in the family or not, but it's a very special candy to me. Nice memories. Mrs. Robertson would reward us for our good marks with candy. And so we've got a maple candy here. In my opinion, Nova Scotia maple syrup is the best, although you won't see it exported much. And we have barley candy. This, I remember as a kid, this candy was also made, and it probably still is, made into shapes, especially for Christmas shapes, toys, toy candy. So, barley toy drops, this bag is called. And I was just thinking about the boy that I danced with at the grade 6 school dance. They would do a contest, a spot dance, where the teachers organizing the chaperones would choose a particular spot on the gym floor, and then whichever person or couple were dancing closest to that spot won the bag of candy. So I don't know if they did this many times throughout the night or just the once, but I particularly remember it was a waltz, and I danced with this guy just because I wanted to win the bag of candy, and we won. We each got a huge bag of candy. I mean, bigger than these ones. So anyway, that was some nice fond memories sent to me by my brother and his wife. Sent to, well, I guess to all of us. I'm supposed to share it with the family, I suppose. I did make a little dish of candy, and it's in the kitchen for any of the family that wants to come and get some. So I'll keep that dish filled. Anyway, The other mail that was also in the mailbox at the time was from Anne Frost, I think her name is, from I Thought I Knew How. Anne has a podcast under the name I Thought I Knew How, available on Spotify and Apple, and I follow her on Instagram. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll remember back in January, I was posting a picture every day of the week for Restash your Yarn Stash. So it was going through the yarn stash and organizing everything. And she organized that, and the hashtag YS Yarn Stash Restash, YS RESTASH, whatever it was, the hashtag. And from that hashtag, she drew a post from that hashtag as a winner and contacted me, asked for my address. So here's the package. So there's a couple of things in it. Of course, yarn. And this yarn struck me as special. It's from Belfast Mini Mills in PEI. And as you may know, I am originally from Nova Scotia, so Maritimes. I just told you I was from Nova Scotia when I talked about the candy. And so Belfast Mini Mills in PEI is a yarn I've always wanted to try. So I'm excited with this yarn. The label doesn't say what color it is, but look, purple! I love purple. Oh, it's a hand-painted 100% merino wool. 250 yards in this 4-ounce skein. I don't know what I'll make with it, but it's precious. And, excuse me, also in the package was a postcard, a very cute postcard from Anne. The flip side says, "Thanks for playing along with the Yarn Stash Restash. Enjoy, Anne." That's pretty cute. That will go up on my wall. And we have a little container of lip balm. I can't read without my glasses. There it is. It's a honey and hemp, and it's made in Scotland. And by the way, Anne organizes tours of the Shetlands in Scotland that I hope to join one day. So I'll put her links in the show notes for you. And then last but not least, we have a stitch marker. That's pretty. And then the card has her details. Upside down. Her details. The links that I'll put down below for you. That was fun to receive this mail. And yes, I bought more yarn. I told you last episode, or in my part B of last episode, about the grand opening of Ancient Arts in Calgary. The store has been an online store for a long time. Now they have a physical location in Calgary. I missed their grand opening this weekend, but when I was in later this week, they still had some of the special colorway that they dyed, especially for this grand opening. Just give me a minute. And Heather, one of the staff, she told me the story of this yarn. They started with the base colors of the very first yarn that the owner, Caroline, had dyed when she began. It was called Enchanted Forest. I think based off of the Enchanted Forest tourist attraction in Revelstoke area. And they started with that colorway and then had each staff add a color. And Heather told me that the staff were adding, there's here, there's there, and then one came in and sprinkled all over. I think the dye is a powder. And it sprinkled it all over and said, all over like fairy dust. So that's the name of this colorway now, all over like fairy dust. And I got a fingering weight of it. It's dyed on the base sock NATO which is the same base as the number of other yarns that I've gotten. The same base, I think, that I'm getting the color of the month from. So it's a fingering weight. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. All over like fairy dust. Very nice. So that was a lot of excitement for the last 2 weeks. If you've enjoyed hearing about it, please click the like button below so that more people can be shown this video. And if you want to see the next episode as it comes out in 2 weeks, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll get the notice when it's posted. Thank you for watching, and happy knitting, happy stitching, happy baking, happy whatever you're doing, go find some joy.